So, I was on Japanese TV. And I didn't say a single truthful thing about myself the entire time. Guys, welcome back to the channel. Hailey Lain, aka Key Black here, and if you didn't check out my last channel update a couple weeks ago, I highly recommend you check that out before watching this video, because it's gonna kind of lay out a couple of things I'm gonna be talking about here, which I can feel it in my chest. I don't want to be talking about it, but that's exactly why I'm doing so. Quick recap, if you guys don't already know, I am a huge narcissist in a lot of ways, and I love to talk about myself, but unfortunately this also extends into trying to make people think that I am something that I'm not, which is why I ended up creating a false persona of myself on YouTube, and why I went on this Japanese TV show and did exactly the same thing with a new persona this time. It wasn't even the same one, so that's it's kind of wild. And that's one of my many techniques, including creating a very curated, nice first impression of who I am, so that if I backtrack later, you know, I'll seem like I'm just being humble. Well, that's exactly what I did on this show, and if you're wondering what I mean by that, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it and stop delaying. So, if you've never heard of Monomane THE World before, that is the name of the TV show that I went on, and it is a Japanese game show where they bring in foreigners who can do impressions and impersonations of Japanese singers and artists. The show has a 3-block setup with 3 groups of 4 contestants apiece, and then the winner of each group goes on to perform in the finals, and yeah, basically you prepare 2 songs before you even go up on stage, and if you win your block, you sing your second one for the finals, and then they select their champion. They found me through the last couple of covers that I did in conjunction with Metanoia Creative, so, you know, Sobakasu, Flying in the Sky, A Cruel Angel's Thesis, you know, and they were like, hey, we found your covers. We thought, would you maybe be interested in coming on our TV show, Monomane THE WORLD? And I'm like, performance? Free trip to Japan? Oh, I would love it. So genuinely, I'm super excited about the prospect of doing this. Unfortunately, as I do many times before, I start, you know, acting the way that I think they're going to like me to act in order to hopefully get picked, instead of just being very genuine about the kind of person I am and the kind of songs that suit me. Why do I mention that? Well, when they asked me, hey, so what kind of Japanese music are you into? Are you really into Japanese culture? I had to be honest, uncomfortably so, and be like, look, I'm sorry, I'm just a weeaboo. I actually don't know that many Japanese artists, and the ones that I do, I only know because they're in anime. Like, they've done anime theme songs. So they were like, okay, well, we can work with that, and they offered a couple of artists that they thought might maybe suit my voice. One of them was Superfly, and I had never heard of her before, so I looked her up, and she is this very hippie, you know, kind of flower child persona, you know, really powerful, strong voice kind of singer. And I'm describing somebody who is nothing like myself, but of course I'm looking at that and going, oh, they like her? I can be her? I tried to give them as much of the impression that I was really into Japanese culture as I possibly could, which is not entirely true. You know, I put a lot of emphasis on, I sit on a tatami mat, and I drink matcha tea, and I make absolutely no mention of the fact that, yeah, my friend recommended I try a tatami mat and sit on the floor because it's good for your posture. And my friend gave me a bunch of matcha tea, which I've been drinking for the past 3 months because I've never done that before, and I quite like it. I could have said that, but I didn't. You know, and I'm the kind of person where, like, if my friends get into something, I get into it. There's not a whole lot that I'm personally into just on my own, you know? Well, that's not a bad thing. It's something that I'm extremely self-conscious about, and I think people are gonna judge me for. Instead of just saying what I just said, which is incredibly easy, which is amazing. But, of course, I'm already on the track of like, oh, yeah, I really love Japanese culture. Oh, yeah, I can do Superfly. No, I can't. But they're like, okay, great! So they recommend a couple of songs, and I end up picking out 2, which I can't sing. I can't sing these songs, but I am insisting that I can, so I practiced for months. And amazingly enough, I'm like crossing my fingers like, oh, please, you know, please pick me. Oh, I really want to go to Japan. I'll be anybody you want me to be. I'm one of the 12 contestants that they bring over to Japan. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, this is incredible. I genuinely have wanted to go to Japan since I was like a teenager. Of course, saying that, I've never actually thought about where I'd want to go, because again, even though I'm a massive weeaboo, I've never actually really been that into Japanese culture. So a friend of mine who is gave me a whole bunch of recommendations for places to visit while I was there. So they fly me over, I get a couple of days to explore Tokyo, I get to see Tokyo Tower, I didn't go up it. I wish I did. But then I went to go see Asakusa Shrine. I saw Meiji Shrine, which was gorgeous. And I got fortunes at both Asakusa and Meiji. I didn't keep the Asakusa Shrine one because it was a bad fortune and you're supposed to tie those up and leave them behind. I thought that was pretty incredible when I did it, because I got this very, this very pointed fortune about myself, which sort of felt like a call out, but you're not supposed to share what the fortune is. You're supposed to kind of let that sit, and then you tie it up on a post and you leave it behind. And I thought, that's pretty awesome. But I did keep the Meiji Shrine one, which is less a fortune and more a waka poem. And it reads, though overgrown with a dense thicket of briars and brambles, a path needing tread upon is one that must be followed. And the reason I mention that is it's kind of part of the reason why I'm actually recording this video in the first place. It's difficult, but that's the thing that I need to do. And for anybody watching who's thinking, oh, she's being too hard on herself, Hailey, it's really not as bad as you say it is, please do not try and white knight for me, because that's one of the various angles that I go for, and I know you have good intentions, but please do not do it. So finally, after doing a whole bunch of exploration around Tokyo for the first 2 days, we go into Fuji Television, and I wish I could talk more in depth about what exactly the experience was like, but I can't because a lot of it's proprietary. What I can talk about as far as the actual production process goes is that we had day 1 of rehearsal, which was on Thursday, and then day 2, Friday, was the actual day of recording. Thursday was the first day I got to meet all the other contestants, and Monomane the world is not an exaggeration. These people were from all over the place. We had Taiwan, we had Malaysia, India, Italy, Spain, Brazil. It was all over the place, and I was the one representative there from the USA. In that regard, I am proud to have represented the many of us Americans who've been subjected to psyop after psyop in the recent years, and consider myself proof that we can survive them given the proper wake-up calls. Everybody had all these different styles and, different stories that they came from. Some of them actually already lived in Japan and spoke fluent Japanese, which was, God, I was so jealous of that. Now, again, I need to underscore the fact that I was totally faking practically everything about myself. Really, the show is about impersonations. I was more impersonating who I wanted them to think I was, instead of impersonating the artist that I was there to impersonate. And I feel bad I did not do justice to Superfly, either in that regard or in the voice, because guys, Superfly has an incredible voice. She's got some beautiful songs. I cannot sing them. I certainly cannot sing them in her style. But here I am on stage doing exactly that. So without further ado, guys, I'm just gonna show you guys the clip, and I'll have some commentary as I'm going along.
Monomane THE WORLD C block 続いては
Yep, so I was the second person in C block, and I have to pause because you can already see, like, this outfit, I'm like wearing this flower child, super frilly white getup and these bangles on my arms, and it's like, okay, yeah, you're imitating somebody. Well, of course it's not you, Hailey. Yeah, but I chose the artist. There was another artist that I could have chosen. There were many other artists that I could have chosen that actually were my style, who I could have done justice, but no, I did this, and I don't know what this is. None of this is me.
That's not me, guys. That's not me!
Okay, so this is gonna be good. So, I recorded a bunch of stuff around Garland, Texas. That's where I'm living. There's me as a kid. At least that's true. Of course, they didn't pick all the weird costumes that I wore as a kid.
This is where I work. This is Brazen Animation Studios.
That's where I work. That's Brazen. And there's Barkley. He's on TV. Okay, so I have to pause again because look at what I'm wearing in this. Look at what I'm wearing right now, all right? I'm super vain. I made myself up for this video. I did my, foundation, I did mascara, and I picked an outfit that I thought was kind of cute. But even now, I'm wearing a shirt and jeans, right? It gets worse. Adding in some commentary while I'm editing, because this is a character of mine onto whom I always project my I want to be a special princess stuff, so fitting that I'm drawing her. And that's my apartment, Here's what I'm talking about with the matcha thing. That was gifted to me by a friend. I had maybe been drinking that for like 3 months, but the caption that I gave them was like, oh, I always drink matcha tea.
I have everything set up on the Japanese style tatami mat.
Look at what I'm wearing. I'm wearing like a suit, blazer, and slacks. I I don't even wear that stuff to work when I'm feeling fancy. So this is what I'm talking about. I am so dead set when I'm recording these things on trying to create an impression of like, oh, I'm a professional. Look at how nicely I present myself. Yeah, like not like I wasn't totally, you know, hurriedly running the vacuum and trying to set everything up in a way that it doesn't normally look in order to make them think that I'm a lot more put together than I am.
We can't let people know we sat!
Hey guys, I'm not a psycho yandere. Pick me. At least Sparkly got on TV. That's good.
And the Zaisu chair. And this is
The
where
tatami, the
I was getting my work
Zaisu. I mean, that is where I get my work done. That's true. I'm here right now. I also want to comment on this shot because originally they wanted to show off that, oh, she actually doesn't wear her shoes on the tatami mat. So they asked me, can we get a shot of your feet? And I was like, I'll give you a shot of my socks. And here's the part where they talk about how, like, oh, I practiced for months trying to do a good, respectful imitation of Superfly. I'm so sorry. I was so focused on how I was gonna come across, this wasn't even remotely on my mind.
その年累計100万ダウンロードを突破したスーパーフライの代表曲
I'm so excited to come to Japan for Monomane THE world, and I'm aiming to win. Okay, so so it was really sweet of my coworkers to do that for me. I asked them like, hey, could you guys, you know, cheer me on for a video for Monomane THE world? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys. But I have to tell you, I had something else I was going to say. I had practiced, I had rehearsed. I'm gonna say something that's like, you know, oh, I'm so excited to come to Japan. I'm gonna do my best. I really want to win it, but I'm just gonna be happy to be there. And the moment came up, and all I could think was, I gotta say something they're gonna like. And I said that instead. So guys, once again, this is one of my many techniques. I just rewrite my memory on the fly, or I forget something conveniently, or I just do something that's like, oh, well, I technically said something like what I was planning on doing. So I want to make an aside here because last year I nearly got myself fired from this job by being an absolute raging bitch during some really tense, you know, crunch periods for the studios, and I was making things like way worse. That's the short version of it. But thanks to being brutally honest about myself and about, you know, like, hey, you know what? I gotta own that up. That was entirely on me. Things have turned around really well. The studio's been incredibly supportive ever since, so thank you, Brazen. You guys rock. Everything about this whole setup is painful for me to watch and hilarious because it's like, yep, I did that. That went on TV. All of that was fake. And I'm aiming to win. She does have a powerful and soulful voice, about half an octave lower than mine. Here we go. Oh God. Oh God. Oh, look at what I'm wearing. Oh, you can already tell it's out of my range. They're being very kind, but like, I'm just like, oh, I look so wonderful. I'm such a great performer. And I'm like, it's so out of my range. You can see the judges are like, oh God. So they have a marker down there that says powerful. That's when I start to yell, and it's, guys, it's so bad. It's... Oh! It's so bad. I'm already pitchy. Pitchy's a nice way of putting it. I'm straight up missing it. I missed the high note, and that was the most important note. I missed so many of those notes. Okay, so they're being really nice. And hilariously, I was so pitchy that they actually had to cut it off there. I actually had a second section where I pitch shifted up. So you can only imagine how bad I was at that point. So I can only say thank you, Monomane the World and Fuji Television, for cutting it off there and sparing me, oh my god, from that being on TV. Now, while I'm editing this, I want to add a little bit of commentary. Like, listen, I know to most people my performance sounded like average to okay. I might sound like I'm being way too hard on myself, and the reason for that is this absolutely is perfectly okay for like karaoke night stuff. Unfortunately, this event is for professional singers with professional judges who are trained to hear professional quality vocals, and this song is an entire like half octave to an octave below my natural range, and you can tell, you know, if you're listening on that level, like, yeah, it's straining the entire time. And, you know, I've really nailed some songs that I've done before. Like, I love singing Sobakasu. That is right in my range. Flying in the Sky was a blast too, although I did have to pitch that one up as well. In the past, I've been very attentive, especially when working with other professionals, to make sure that something that I'm going to be singing is actually in my range and that I'm going to do a good job with it. So with that context, I'm looking at this and being, yeah, maybe I'm being overly critical to most people's sensibilities, but to me, I'm like, I did not bring my A game to this. So maybe I sound like I'm being too harsh, but that's the context that I'm looking at it through. As for my lack of authenticity, I now see what my old friend groups must have seen when I changed personalities and totally threw them under the bus. So I am sorry. I get it now. He says powerful. It's not powerful. I'm so sorry. That's yelling. Oh, look at how nice I am on stage.
A lot of fun. I've never done anything like this before.
False! I'm pausing because that's false. Literally, the one thing I said on TV was a lie. I've done performances before. I've done competitions before. If it was about me being on TV for the first time or being in Japan for the first time, I would have said that, but I didn't. No, I wanted them to think like, oh, it's baby's first time doing anything like this.
I've never done anything like this before.
Oh my god, stop lying.
And like, look, this wasn't an accident. It wasn't like, oh, she just got too excited and she just said something that was the first thing that came to mind. It's like, yeah, you could give me that excuse, but that would be if you didn't realize that I'm absolutely thinking this through the entire time, and the only thing on my mind up on stage there is, gosh, I hope they like me. He's asking me what I think about how weak the yen is right now. I didn't actually hear the question very clearly from the translator because, again, my attention was entirely on, like, I have to make them like me. And I probably gave him the impression that I understood way more Japanese than I do. He's being very generous. He's saying something like, oh, you know, it's amazing that you studied this Japanese song and you don't speak Japanese. You must have studied really hard. It's like, yes, I did. I did study very hard. Thank you. Here I am being weird. And he's, you know, making a joke about how he can sing in a different language too, you know? That's me being weird, trying to do something that I think is going to get a reaction, and I got it. I was very proud of myself. And now she's making a comment about how she really likes Superfly's music because the lyrics and the music combination really always pierces her right in the heart. And he's making a joke about how they have to like technically use one of her names versus another one. I'm not sure, but it's something to do with copyright, and he's just making a joke about it. He's a famous Japanese comedian, by the way. That's something that I was told just before actually going up and flying over to Japan. The host and the judges are all celebrities in Japan, you know, either from music or, you know, comedy or other things. But yeah, so it was a really fun time. I have to say that because, listen, I love performing. I love getting attention. Who doesn't? Who does this kind of stuff, you know? I wish I had been more authentic, though, because, you know, there's actually a bunch of other artists that I could have picked who I would have been able to do, you know, much better impressions of. The main one being a band called Ryokuo Shakai, or translates roughly to Green Yellow Society. One of their hit songs is called Mela, and this was actually one of the songs that I initially did do some testing for Monomane the World, like way earlier on in the process, and my voice suited it great. It's right in my range. I know how to sing just like the main singer, and I like their style. You know, it's kind of punk, it's a little bit edgy, it's a little bit all over the place. I find it really fun, and they seem to have a lot of fun doing their songs, so it would have been a great match, and it would have done a lot of justice to my voice. But, of course, that's hindsight, looking at like, okay, well, if I had gone at it with the right attitude, that's what I would have picked, but I didn't. And, you know, God forbid I actually say something truthful about myself, like, yeah, no, I'm kind of shallow. Like, listen, if you tell me what you like, beware, because I will try and conform to that instead of actually doing what I'm good at. So with that in mind, you know, here's what I think I'm good at. You know, I could have done that. I didn't this time. But the good thing about it is, like, because I've done this, now that it's gone on TV, I've got video footage of what I've done before, and I can use that to be like, look, I know I'm like this. Okay, if I ever get the chance to do anything like this again, and I hope I do because it was so much fun, I can be more authentic next time, you know? It's sort of like, okay, here's my evidence against my own ego. And it's funny too, because as I'm recording this video, you know, I didn't want to do it. I don't want to talk about that. It's uncomfortable. But I'm getting more comfortable with it as it goes along. It happens every time, you know? Like, just come out with it. Come out with the truth. Rip the Band-Aid off. Just say the thing that you're uncomfortable to say, and it gets easier the whole time. But, you know, I'm sure I'm not the only one who's got kind of a mental block on that, who's a little worried about how people are going to perceive them, you know? But the problem is, if you don't come out with what you're actually like from the get-go, you're going to be lying the whole time and you won't even know it. Obviously, I didn't win, thank God for that, because if I had, my ego would have absolutely ballooned out of proportion, and I would have thought that the version of me that went up on stage was the actual version of me, which is the opposite of the lesson that I needed to learn from this. The person who won was Elize from Brazil. She sang as Zard, and she was absolutely spectacular, guys. Go check her out. In fact, if you can, go check out all the performers. I'm going to have as many links to their profiles and pages as I can find. And if you guys are out there, please send me your pages so that I can link them and like promote your stuff, because you guys, everybody on the show was absolutely phenomenal, and I would love to do it again. It was such a great time. I learned some really important lessons from this, and once again, I had a fantastic time in Japan. I got to see a lot of really wonderful things in Tokyo. I found out I genuinely love the shrines and the temples there, and I'd love to go back and see them again. And of course, most importantly, I got to have this really fantastic, like, I don't know, maybe it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience where I got to go perform in Japan, which I've been fantasizing about for I don't know how long, for years. I got to do it, I did exactly what I wanted to do, and I got to see the results of that, and, you know, there's no better teacher than personal experience, so I'm looking at this and going, yeah, I'm not proud of that, but I'm very glad I did it, and, you know, I can say I went on Japanese TV. I definitely can. But yeah, it's a lot of really great motivation to be more authentic with myself moving forward, and I'd be a lot more picky with the next songs I choose to sing. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching. I also want to extend a huge thank you to everybody at Fuji Television. Murakami-san, Kibata-san, Sakamoto-san, Theo-san, you were all absolutely wonderful, as was everybody else there. I'd love to come back and do this again someday. I'd love to go back to Japan at some point. And, you know, next time I'll be a lot more authentic with myself. So thank you guys so much. You guys rock, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.